Hey there, this is Eric with RSMP Tabletop. Here with,
Jin, also from RSMP Tabletop.
and we're going to be tackling some ASGARD characters today.
Oh boy, yeah. This box has definitely been making the rounds.
Yeah, it's going to be a super popular box. So if you haven't picked it up already, well, you're going to probably want to listen to the rest of this video, but I would suggest picking it up by the time you're done.
But yeah, in this video, we'll give you an overview of all the new characters that have come out with that box, what affiliations they're in, the tactics cards they've come out in, and some rumorations about each of the characters, since it's been a few weeks since they've been released at this point.
Yep, so get ready. We're going to throw some hammers.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, so Jin, should we start off with the mighty Thor, Jane Foster?
Yeah, so we're excited. Finally, Jane Foster gets representation in Marvel Crisis Protocol, and she is a leader, without doubt. And she's a good leader too, because she's gonna feel like an improved original Thor, right? I think that's what the kit kind of feels like.
Yeah. So Jin, let's start off like what are her stats?
So she's gonna actually first start off being 4s across the board. So we saw that with the improved Thor original. So then now they're just gonna give the Thors just 4 defenses off of on physical, energy, and mystic.
Nice.
Okay. Very healthy, 8 health on the front and 6 health on the back. So definitely much more durable on the front, but still no slouch on the back either. 5 threat. So we're starting at a baseline. Thors are always going to be at least 5 threat, it seems like. Size 2, okay, and a medium move.
So it's pretty good, and she's got flight on her card too, right?
She's got flight on her card. She herself is also on a small base, I think. Yep. So yeah, buildings are not going to be an issue like ever for her. But what I really want to get into is like these crazy attacks. So
yeah. So
you want to go through the attacks?
Sure. Yeah. We'll start with the first hammer that we'll be covering this evening. Hammer Strike. This is her 6-die physical builder. It's range 3, which is something we're starting to see new with the new ASGARD box, right?
Yeah. So like there's ways like web lines and eye in the sky and cards that can make you recheck ranges, when someone attacks you. Mm-hmm. So Thor had a lot of problems where like since he's only range 2, sometimes you can just leave that engagement zone sometimes. So, but a 3 range, that's double the distance of a range 2.
Yeah. And it's huge, especially it gets around martial artist too.
Yep.
So it has a wild trigger throw, which is what you want to see on a builder. So all the damage you deal, you're going to be gaining, and you get a free throw. I believe it's a size 4 or less throw. So you can be throwing around Hulk like a bowling ball.
Yeah. This is strictly better than the original Thor's throw, or attack, I should say, because his Hammer Strike, is only half the range, but has all the same like nuts and bolts to it. So yeah, big win for Jane Foster. Do you want to talk about the Lightning Blast Spender?
Sure, yeah. So before we get into leadership, which Jin will cover, we'll talk about the Spender. She basically can control thunder now because she's a Thor. Mm-hmm. And so she, within range 4, throws an energy attack. It's 8 dice for 4 power, which is nothing to slouch at. And we've talked about this on the channel before. 7 dice for 3 power is kind of like the base, so anything above that's pretty good. So she's paying an extra power for an extra die there, and now she's got a wild trigger on this as well. Before damage is dealt, all other characters within 2 of the target character suffer 2 damage.
That's incredible.
That's like throwing a basically throwing a dumpster at someone.
It feels like it, yeah. The only other effect that was kind of similar to this was Bob's, what was it? It's like, I know it's not called Make It Spicy, but whatever that thing was where he launches that bazooka.
Yeah,
and it just does 2 damage to everything. Like, getting like most splash damage in this game is just like 1 damage, but this is 2. We should note that this has all other characters.
Yeah.
So that means that it could also hit your allies, including Jane. If the Mighty Thor actually does this within range 2, she does hurt herself for 2 damage.
That's something that I didn't notice before.
Yep.
So I'm definitely going to be attacking at that 4 range instead.
Yeah. So user beware. Like that is a thing that can happen. Don't daze your own Jane just because you did the Spender.
Yeah, and because it's throwing a lightning bolt at someone, they got to get shocked. So after damage is dealt or after the attacker is dissolved, the character is going to get the shock condition. So if you don't end up killing them, they're going to be less likely to kill you back.
Yeah, no, guaranteed shock is really, really nice. So like, At the floor of this is that you just gave him a range 4 shock, and that can be a big deal to turn off like some big dice pools for some characters. We want to talk about the rest of Thor's Mighty Thor's kit because it's a pretty awesome kit. So we already see 2 great attacks. So the power of those 2 great attacks, we got our first superpower called Thor Midgard. This is going to cost you 3 power. It's an active superpower, so only can be done during Jane Foster's turn. It will cost you an action, and what happens is this character will make a move action followed by an attack action. When making this attack, this character may reroll up to 2 of its dice. The superpower can only be used once per turn. Now, contrasting the for ASGARD for original Thor, same power cost, same sort of effect, but he was limited to just his range 2 strike. Right. This attack allows you to use either Jane Foster's builder or her spender. So that means you have great options as far as like what you need to get out of the attack, right?
Yep.
And a more consistent dice pool to get those triggers you want because you get to reroll 2 of the dice.
Yeah, so that's pretty sweet. So she doesn't have to be guaranteed to do damage to get that throw off.
Right, yeah. And this will allow you to, the number complaint about the original Thor was that it was very feast or famine, depending on like the original dice you get. It was nice to see that AMG took those into consideration when making her, and it's like, okay, we're going to have Mighty Thor have more consistent dice. And you'll see this as sort of a theme through some of the other superpowers that she has as well. Cool. Do you want to talk about the next one?
Sure, yeah. So she has a throw. It is a terrain-only throw, but it is size 4 or less, which is what you want to see on a card. It's 3 power as well, and she throws at medium. So it's, remember the terrain has to be within 2 for this superpower. So
yeah.
She's on a smaller base, so she's not always going to be within 2, but you could probably charge, get in range of a terrain, deal the damage with your more consistent dice, get the power to do the throw.
Yep, exactly.
Lends to a lot of damage in her kit.
Yeah, so that's like, you get 2 attacks potentially off a turn, and even with a free move, if you do the 4 Midgard, and you also get a throw on top of it, so that's like 3 different damage sources that we're looking at right here. The next thing she has is going to be a reactive superpower called If She Be Worthy. Costs 2 power, and if this character is defending against a physical or energy attack, during the modified dice step, it may use the superpower. The character can reroll any number of its defense dice.
Yeah.
So that's pretty awesome. So you're already starting with a pretty decent defense dice pool because your 4 is across the board. So if it's specifically an energy or a physical attack, you can reroll up to 4 dice or more, depending if you got, well, I guess you wouldn't reroll if you got the crits. So it'd be, pretty much 4 dice. You get another bite of the apple to sort of defend yourself.
Yeah, and it's pretty useful, right? Because like you can do this if she's got 8 health, so she might survive the first attack, and then that second attack she can reroll and hopefully survive that as well.
Right. Yep.
So.
Rapid fire situation, right? She takes some damage from the first attack. The follow-up attack, she'll at least be able to reroll some dice if she thinks it's important. So yeah, that's pretty good.
So really defensive. And then just to finish her kit, she is blessed by the All Mother. I was going to say All Father, but the All Mother.
Yep.
That's right. And so she starts with 2 power. This is pretty standard for most Asgard characters. So she's going to not have enough power that first turn for the charge, unless you have some shenanigans to pass power around or somehow be in range of an opponent. But it's nice to see. And lastly, to finish off, she's immune to shock.
Yep, she's got flight and immune to shock. So it would make sense that the God of Thunders, whatever incarnations, should not be able to be shocked.
Right. Yep. Totally in flavor and lore.
Yep.
So do you want to talk about the leadership now?
Yeah. I should also note that there's no changes on the backside besides the health pool.
Yes.
So there's just, 6 health, as we said, but otherwise the kit's exactly the same. So let's talk about the leadership because it's finally here. We have a new box. We have new leaderships. So before, Asgard was just sort of limited to either condition removal or a damage removal leadership. So now we have a new leadership that's going to give you a little more punch up front without costing you any energy. So we have Renegade Thor of Asgardia, affiliation Asgard. So once a turn, when an ally character attacks an enemy character within range 2 of itself, the ally character may reroll 1 of its dice. Additionally, once per turn, when an enemy character targets an ally character with an attack, if the enemy character is not within 2 of it, the ally character may reroll 1 of its defense dice. So what that means is that you probably want to brawl at range 2 with your characters and you'll get more consistent offensive dice. Yep. But if you can position yourself so that they're not within 2 of you and try to hit you from a little further away, you'll be able to reroll 1 of your defense dice.
Yeah, I think it really lends well to her kit because she's got throws on her builder. So she could deal damage, she could charge within 2, deal some damage, get that extra reroll off, so you'd get 3. Remember, it's only 1 reroll per turn. So you got to choose which attack you're going to use it on if you're attacking twice.
Yep. But at least you can look at your dice pool first to see if that's something that you want to use, right?
Right. And it doesn't cost power, which is pretty huge. And most Asgard leaderships do cost power. So this is the one that doesn't.
Yeah, this is sort of you just get stuff for free, right? And you just get to do things better than what you already do, which is great. Because I think the number one complaint about Asgard, although they generate extra power, typically their powers are also costed in a way that's extra expensive to make sure that, they don't get a bunch of stuff for free or super efficiently.
Right.
So now that you have something that can at least make your builders or more consistent, or if you have triggers that you're looking for, this will really make that better, and also give you at least a little bit of defense against like attacks that are like further away.
Yeah, and this is a affiliation that wants to fight. We see what AMG's doing here. They're really creating these. They're really well designing these models to be giving a flavor in the card. And Asgard, the whole box is telling me they want to fight. They want to be in the thick of it. They want smaller, tighter secures.
Yep.
But they also have a lot of action compression and movement shenanigans to have some control throughout the game as well.
Yeah. And you'll see that sort of theme proliferate the rest of the characters as we go along. I do want to talk about, really quickly, since we're on Mighty Thor, do you want to talk about Heart of the Worthy?
Sure.
So let me just remind folks what that is. It is a card that comes with, for Jane's Bond, specifically an Asgard.
Yep. At the end of the action phase, the Mighty Thor, which is Jane Foster, may spend 2 power. She then removes her activated token. Then she immediately activates. Here's the downside. During the cleanup phase, she is KO'd.
Oh, okay. So this is a big bet card.
This is a big bet card. Probably like a late turn card, make it or break it moment.
Yeah. So I think this is when like the game is like getting close to the crescendo, basically, right? And it's at the activation phase. Mighty Thor is still up, and you just need that one extra point, that one extra cure or something. This could be the card that clenches it, because like she herself is such a powerful character at 5 threat that giving her 2 extra actions can make or break a game sometimes. So yeah, I think it's a very good card, and I think you should consider taking it. Should you take Mighty Thor?
Yeah, definitely makes the 10, doesn't make the 5.
I think it situationally makes the 5, but I think if you're taking Jane, it definitely should be a consideration, because, like I said, it's a thing that could end games, right?
Yep. And it's only 2 power.
It's only 2 power,
It's easy to get off.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Should we talk about the next card, Jin?
Yeah, so let's go over to our next character. All right, let's talk about Loki, Prince of Lies. Ooh. This is a trickster,
yes,
to say the least.
Through and through.
Man, we've come a long way since the original 4-cost Loki, who's still cool, by the way, but this 5-threat version is a doozy.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were waiting for a new Loki. Loki's super popular in the MCU, more so than the comics, but they've really done a good job of capturing his sort of comic version essence in this card, while still differentiating him from the old Loki, right?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So I'll just start off with his stats.
Sure, go for it.
He's got 4 physical, 4 energy, which par for the course, but he's got 5 mystical defense.
Whoa, okay.
And that makes sense, because he's a mystical, he's a deceiver, he plays mind games with the opponent.
Right, he is also mentally just very slippery, right? It's hard to pin him down.
He's going to be your second 5-threat leader in the box. He's got 7 health on his healthy side, and I believe he has 6 health on his injured side.
Yep.
He's size 2, and he's small base. But what's interesting is that he's actually a long mover.
Oh, okay. So after Angela, this is our first, or sorry, I should say our second Asgardian long mover.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah, it's really nice, because sometimes, as Asgard, you get thrown a lot. And so having a model that can kind of stay out of the fight, but sort of still be relevant with a long move.
You can be a little more, you can skirmish a little more, I think, it gives them more options, right? And also, especially on a wide map, being able to have somebody that can rotate from point to point, I think is always nice.
Yeah. So this is the leader you might want to take on a wider secure if you end up getting forced on one.
Yep, but that's not to say though. I think actually, if we think about it, the kit actually is very punishing if you do want to have a close quarter fight.
That's true too.
Yeah, he's man, he's
He is a killer of non-Asgardians.
he's a killer of dreams. in my
True.
opinion.
There we go. So what's his first attack, Jin?
So mischiefs and magics. So range 3 again. Once again, we're doing a range 3 builder, 6 dice mystic, okay, for 0 cost. This is a builder, so it'll gain power equal to the damage dealt. He's got a hard to hit trigger because it requires a crit and a wild called Bamboozle, but it's great because what happens is after the attack is resolved, you get to move the target short, any direction, and then the character will get the root special condition.
Wow, that's punishing.
Yeah. So you think about other characters like Beta Ray Bill, the Juggernaut, these characters that rely on these reactive 1 cost powers that can suddenly become 2. Throws that become much more expensive. Like it's a big deal to get the root condition, but also being able to move a character as well from this attack trigger, also amazing to let you win a point or set them up for, a bad situation.
Yeah, I was just thinking against the webs, you play a lot of webs, so you could advance a character towards you, root them, and so it's going to be harder for them to web swing out.
Yeah.
Assuming you don't really do a lot of damage with that build.
Yeah, but to be fair though, it also is a mystic attack, so against martial artists, character with a spider sense, radar sense, a lot of characters are teched against physical and energy attacks. Mighty Jane, which we were just talking about earlier, doesn't get that extra reroll against mystic attacks. So there's still a lot of characters that are very vulnerable to mystic attacks. And then you're starting with 6 dice at range 3. That is incredible.
That's solid.
Just as a baseline. I think the root and the short move is just icing on top. If you happen to get it,
And I'm going to actually just jump ahead. Why does this ability do more damage? 6 dice is great, but why is it even more deadlier?
Okay, so okay.
We're going to jump to the bottom of the card.
Yeah, so so to put this in the context, okay, we have the raw stats that we just listed for Loki, but if you look at the bottom of the card here, he's got a passive trait called "This isn't mischief, this is mayhem." So when attacking or defending, this character adds skull results in the enemy's roll to its total successes. So that means that any skulls that your enemy character rolls for their side gets added as successes to yours. Similar to, let's say, Dormammu, or if you pay for the arrogance for Baron Strucker, you get to count their skulls as part of your successes, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, so if they end up really messing up and you end up rolling well, it's going to be really punishing for the opponent.
Yep. Oh, real-time correction. Sorry, not Baron Strucker. I meant to talk about Magic Darkchild.
Fair enough.
Yes. Yep. But yeah, no. So although you start with the 6 dice, that's also not counting any of the skulls that get rolled on their side, right? And then when he's defending, that 4/4/5 defense, well, okay, he's got that, but he also gets your skulls that you roll for your attack as well. So he ends up being a lot more punchier and a lot more, I guess, resilient than you would expect, right? Initially.
Yeah, for sure. And then that kind of lends into his kit. So he's got a spender here. It's called Clever Ploy.
Yep.
Why don't you describe what Clever Ploy does?
So first of all, this is an Area 3 spender. So area effect spenders are pretty rare as well, but there is very little Area 3.
I can't think of one.
So the only thing that I can think of is the so Mr. Sinister. If he has 3 genetic samples tokens, he can do a spender, but that costs a ludicrous amount of resources to actually do that.
Right.
And then you also have the Power of Cosmic for Thanos. It's on a card that will scale to the amount of gems that he has.
Yep.
So he can take up to 2 gems. So it'll start with Area 1, 2, or 3. Yeah, in that case. But that's those are characters that spend extra resources or a tactical card slot. We have an Area 3 spender on just a guy.
Yeah.
It's gonna cost him 4 power, and it's only 5 dice. So it's definitely quantity over quality.
Yep.
But the cool effect is that this doesn't require any triggers. It just needs to do damage to people. And if you do damage to people, it's going to move that target short, any direction. and also allied characters in range do not suffer damage from it.
And that's important.
Yeah, because it's a huge like area of effect. So chances are your allies are going to be in that circle. So AMG's already proved it so that it's like, hey, you don't take that 1 damage.
Yeah.
You know.
And this can be a huge game changer, just shifting everybody's position in the game.
Right, yeah. So the way you can think about it is like, well, okay, maybe Loki doesn't necessarily benefit himself from it, but what he can do is like he can also move people in range so that other people can get their attacks off. If you have a beam or another AoE character, you can also line those up right as well. Or you can move people so that like they don't have like their taunt bubbles or their bodyguard bubbles, or they have sacrifice, sort of like, get rid of that like option as well. So yeah, it's a very versatile spender. You're going to do the builder most of the time, but I think the clever ploy is definitely there when you think the situation calls for it, if you need to rearrange the board, basically.
Yep. And I think with Loki, he's going to be in the middle of things every once in a while.
Yeah. You'll see that he doesn't have much action impression for himself, but he is able to bring some stuff to help out his friends as well.
Sure.
Do you want to talk about Go Forth?
Yes. So talking about the trickster, the Prince of Lies, he is able to spend 2 power, which is important to note that he starts with 2 power, like all Asgardians, and that's because he is an Asgardian. On his card, he starts with 2. So he can do this first turn, and we will talk about a certain 6 threat model, which he is most likely to be paired with and to go forth with. So you could choose another character, can't be himself, within 4. You spend that 2 power, and they get to be placed within 2 of their location. Can only be used once per turn, but it's just going to give you a ton of versatility and control in the game.
Right, yep. And there could be characters, let's say, if you have a character with like pounce of sorts, like, like we talked about Chosen of Bast, and other characters like that, moving them so that they're within range so that they can like get that clear like shot at something, or moving them so that they're ready to throw somebody in the beginning, like, is a big deal. And also being able to just like make sure that they can make the most of their turn, right, at the end of the day. So yeah, it's great. It's kind of like a space stone, like from Thanos, that he doesn't move himself, but he can move his friends around. And I think that leads to some very versatile like utility with this character.
For sure.
Okay.
And let's talk about maybe the ability I suspect he will be most known for.
This haunts me so much. Okay, so oh my, what a pity. It's a reactive superpower. It costs Loki 1 power to do. After an attack targeting this character or an ally character within 3, or after an attack made by this character is resolved, it may use the superpower. If the enemy character roll contains any skull results, the character suffers 1 damage. Okay, so we've... So keep in mind, the legal eligibility is like when Loki's targeted by an attack, when he does an attack, or if a friend within 3 is receiving an attack. Okay? They will be able to be subject to this power, and that enemy model will then suffer a damage if there's at least 1 skull. Like in it.
And it's going to come up a lot.
It is. And you see that it sort of combos specifically with that, this is mischief, this is mayhem, right? So when he's attacking or defending, not only is he getting the benefit of your skull results into his successful, but hey, I'm going to ping you for damage as well.
You can really dig into your opponent. You can really go like full flavor and just, oh my, what a pity. You rolled some skulls? What a pity.
So one of my friends, he recently played, I think it was a tournament game where he had Crimson Dynamo, who's a beam 4 character. He was great. He felt great that he lined up a bunch of characters like in a row with the beam. Shoots the beam into these guys, right? He ends up taking 5 damage because he had like 5 different people with it, and Loki was able to, oh my, what a pity, like each time.
Oh my gosh, right, because each attack you can do it once.
Each time is a new pool of dice that you're rolling. Whoa. And Loki had the 5 powers, so like, yeah, he was just able to just bring him down. Just from this reactive power. Crimson Dynamo, famously hard to kill character. Just chipping away 1,000 cuts, until he's like down to just a 1 HP little guy.
Wow. I'm also haunted by this card, and this ability in particular, because I've been on 1 HP before, and needed to do an attack with a character. Like last activation, I have to go with him, but he's within 3 of a model. He's attacking a model within 3 of Loki.
Yeah.
And so I am hoping and praying to the dice gods not to roll any skulls, but of course it happens.
Yep.
And so you could attack once and lose your entire rest of your activation if you roll a skull.
Yep.
And it's important to note that this is after the attack is resolved, right? So you still get the effects of that first attack
Yeah,
off.
for sure. But sometimes if a character's left on 1 health, like it's like that could be it, buddy. Like I hope like this works out. I hope so. Hopefully, when you're playing against Loki, you have some way to dig out those skulls. But like those are very rare abilities.
Yeah, for sure. Or somehow throw the character out of that ability range.
Yep.
And so that ability costs a lot of power gen, right?
Yeah.
Is Loki a power-starved model typically?
So he's got a pretty decent builder, so that already lets him sort of generate a decent amount of power, like on his own. And if he's holding an extract, you can certainly bait people to hit you. But if he's a leader, I don't think he's gonna have any problem with being power starved.
No way.
No. Do you want to talk about the leadership?
Sure, yeah. He comes bearing gifts. The leadership, I come bearing gift, is an ASGARD affiliation leadership. While another character, so not himself, remember he's a mischievous guy, he doesn't really care about himself. When another allied character is attacking, defending, or dodging, very important here, during the modified dice step, that character can spend 1 power. That character can reroll 1 die in that attack, defense, or dodge roll, and that power goes to Prince Loki.
Yo, okay. So yeah, so rerolls are great. We just know they're great as well. So contrasting with like Tony Stark's leadership, Invincible Iron Man that is, and the original Black Panther leadership, we have to just pay something and get a reroll. That power is just lost, you know. But this is a power cycling, so in that sense, you're passing the power to Loki and you're getting a benefit, like at the same time.
And you can use that power to twist the knife.
Yep. So the power is the go forth. The power is the oh my what a pity. The power is the spender. Like all these things. Like I don't think you're gonna have a problem seeing Loki at like 5 or more power, like each round.
Yeah.
Like especially as you're kind of fishing for like any sort of defense rerolls or like attack triggers. Like he's definitely gonna help that out while making sure that he is benefiting at the same time. I think this is a big win on flavor and also a big win on function. Personally.
Yeah, and it affecting dodging, I think, is really, because the Wakanda leadership can affect dodges, to my understanding.
Yeah, it might. We have to look at it, but let's say, even if it did or didn't, like, the fact is, like, this is still, like, you're not losing a resource, right?
Right.
By doing this.
Right, and we've seen that ability on, like, Nightcrawler, right? The ability to re-roll Webb's leadership, famously. The ability to re-roll dodge dice, right, is so important to the game because throwing terrain is a very strong thing in this game, and it's guaranteed damage, and any way you can get out of that damage, I think, is very rare and really potent.
Yeah. So yeah, I always feel pretty comfortable with Spider Sense, like if Ben or Gwen, they start with 4 dice, and they have the 2 extra rerolls, like, it feels like much better taking that car or that, that newspaper stand, like going into you. So, Asgardians are, not known for being able to dodge buildings very well, so this definitely like helps with that.
For sure.
Yeah.
All right, and he's got a couple tactics cards tied to him. I think we've gone over the entire card, right?
Yeah, so the only, like I said, to reiterate, the only change on his backside is that he just goes down by 1 health, but still pretty good. I mean, considering how resilient he is, I am very happy that he's only has 13 hit points and not 14.
Yeah, because those skulls are gonna really.
Yeah. I mark my words. Like, if you guys haven't seen Loki 2 on the table, Prince of Lies, you will be very surprised, like how much of like a cockroach he is. Like, it's just like you think you got him, but you just don't.
You just don't.
You just don't.
He's got you, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surprise.
All right. So should we talk about Giant's Blood here?
Yeah, so this is a reactive superpower. So I believe what it is like when a enemy ends a movement of any kind within 2 of Loki, there's a couple things that are going to happen. Number 1, he is going to give everybody within 2 of himself, all enemies that is, the root and the slow condition. Okay, And then he has to drop any objectives he's holding, because what's going to happen afterwards is that he gets to place 5 with himself. And 5 is like a really like far distance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, we talked about how much power Loki usually ends up with, right?
Yeah.
So that's not really a tax on him, right?
No.
And when how often are characters going to end up within 2 of them?
Pretty often. So here's the thing, like you can also manipulate it so that, because this isn't necessarily a move action, that it'd be any movement. So if you push or throw someone into range 2 of them, because you're in Asgard, presumably, there's probably a lot of people with throws or pushes. That can certainly trigger that ability. Or he's got the bamboozle trigger from his builder. He's got the clever ploy to the massive AoE 3 that can move people around. That can all set up like this particular card to give everybody root and slow, and that can really hamper everyone's plans, because now you're further away from something maybe, or it's just hard to get to somewhere. And if you have powers that you need to activate to get around the board or to pass stuff or do things, like maybe you're just out of reach now for the amount of power you have.
Yeah, and root and slow are nasty conditions to put on multiple characters. It can really gum up the entire enemy force. And then you just go away and just get to do what you want.
Yeah, so assuming Loki wasn't holding anything, or he was just holding maybe just a single thing that you don't care about, the payoff it could be the fact that, you are just going to get more than you lose out of this, if you even had anything at all. So it's unaffiliated, so you can use this any team that he will be splashing or that he's affiliated with. So it's very versatile. And that range 5 place, that could be the difference sometimes for him like getting a secure on a point,
Well, yep.
So there could be an instance where, let's say, we're playing on an E map, like Jane's right here, I throw somebody within 2 of Loki so that he can play Giant's Play, teleport 5 and get to a back point,
Dang, on something like Gamma, that's going to be huge.
Right? Yeah. So that could be a good way for him to get to a point where they thought was out of reach, in the first place.
So you can use, I know it says reactive, but you could use this defensively to save him. Or you could actually use this aggressively to, on the first attack,
right? Yep.
Set things up.
The trigger being like any enemy movement, is incredible. I think so. That's going to lead to a lot of interesting combos you can do, or just plans that you can have with this character. So yeah, that's a big win, I think. So this should be in consideration for your 10 all the time if you're thinking about taking Loki.
Yeah, I would take it in my 5, but that's just because I like the flavor of it. Important to note, I think you can use it with both Lokis.
Yes, it does say Loki Lafferson, so this will count for both, and that makes that original Loki also even more annoying to deal with. Yeah. He's got an AoE passive bubble that is really hampers the character's power generation on his backside. Also caps off, it's like a pseudo hex of sorts that caps off their ability to explode dice as well. So moving that bubble around and making it less interactive, ooh boy.
Yeah, and applying root to them. So
and applying root to them,
2 power additionally for any of the super
Yeah, so yeah, man, root and that trickster aura, it's crazy. So yeah, no, both characters I think won very big with this one. I'm very happy that AMG decided to make this card. The other one I think is Trickster's Boon. Do you want to talk about Trickster's Boon?
Yes, this is a card I'm so excited for. I will quickly go on. I tell you why I'm excited about it. It's because it's an active card, and it really. So I'll just read it off. Sorry. During an allied non-Asgard character's activation. So this is probably why I'm excited. It really. Goes into the splash characters that you're going to pick, right? So it kind of incentivizes you to be thinking about the splash characters outside of Asgard that you're going to bring in. Loki, Prince of Lies, so it can't be used with the other Loki, spends 4 power. So it's a lot of power for the card, but that splash character and gets 5 power, and you choose that splash character and an enemy character at the same time. All right, so that it's a little complicated. So I'll break it down further because I'm doing a really poor job of it so far.
No.
But you choose 2 characters. You choose 1 enemy character and 1 splash character of your own. Your character gets 5 power. Okay. This activation phase, if your splash character dazes or KOs the enemy chosen character this round, you get 1 VP after the effect that dazed them resolves. If it did not daze them or KO them, then during the cleanup phase, the opponent's player will get 1 VP, and the chosen character that you've chosen loses all of its power, which goes to Loki.
Okay.
So it's a very complicated card, but it is awesome.
Okay, so you're essentially making that pact with Loki, right? So this Splash character is making a pact. It's like, hey man, give me 5 power, and I will do this job. If I fail it, they're gonna get the point, and then you're gonna lose all your power and give that to Loki.
Right. Yeah. So it basically turns whatever Splash character you pick into hopefully a killing machine.
Yeah. Yep.
It gives them the power to get off multiple superpowers off, maybe even a spender off.
Yeah, so usually 5 power is more than enough to pay for most people's spenders, or if there's like a charge or something that they need, a Master Swordsman or something, like they can use it in various different ways. I'm also excited because like if you decide just to take the penalty of losing the power and giving the person a VP, you could, effectively power steal off someone. So you can give this to like Miles or Black Cat. That 5 power could be converted into like, a grappling hook steal, and then they can still move away. So yeah, maybe you lose out that 1 VP, but maybe they'll get an extract for the rest of the game.
Right, that's pretty huge.
That can eventually net you out like as a positive, at the end.
I think this card is strongest on 2 models. I'm gonna put it out there. I think there's 2 models.
Yeah. What do you got?
So the first model I think is the one that everybody's talking about is Sabretooth Apex Predator.
Oh, right. Okay.
So he's the 4 threat. Sabretooth, famously power starved.
Yes.
But with a huge amount of damage output if he has that power.
Yeah.
So he gets 5 power. He probably spends 4 of that to get 2 extra dice. I think it's actually 3 extra dice on his next attack.
Yep.
Then does a pierce, range 2 claw attack, gets that power back, pounces. I think he's even got a throw on there too.
Yeah, you can throw up to a size 3 person. So the way I would like to do it then is probably I would pounce into the character.
Okay.
And hope that there's another size 3 within range, right? You
Right.
can throw that character into that original character that you're targeting and still get your 2 attacks.
There you go.
Yeah, so that would be like 4 different damage sources potentially that you can do. Or, the throw could be the way you can just get that last chip of damage, right, off of them.
Yeah, so it's really likely you're going to kill the opponent's character and get that VP.
Yeah, for sure. And, unlike Killmonger's Usurp the Throne where you have to target the biggest guy, right?
Right.
This could be as small as a guy as you want, right?
Could be a small toad.
Yep,
Yeah.
could be a toad.
And then the second character I think this card is really good on that people aren't really talking about is Nightcrawler.
Oh, okay.
Because
yeah.
Nightcrawler, he has an infinite combo. If he just keeps getting his trigger, which is, I believe, a wild and crit.
It's a crit and a
Crit and hit?
Just crit and hit, yeah.
Crit and hit.
Yeah.
He can just keep doing that spender again, and that spender gets better every time you use it, because then you just poof after each attack.
Yep.
So it adds 1 die. And there's no cap on it. There's no wording that says once you use this spender, you can't use it again. So he loves having power, and he could just keep going off. Now, it is dependent on you getting those 2 dice, but I think it's very likely.
Well, you also think about the fact that, you have 5 power, right? So what you also have if you're taking Loki as a leader,
Right.
his rerolls, like leadership, right?
Right.
So that's another chance for you to possibly roll into what you need to get, right?
I think it's good. Don't sleep on it. If anybody in any viewers or fans end up picking up this box and ends up running Nightcrawler with him, please let me know. I'll be very enthused and thrilled to hear that.
So you can there's a whole ton of killers that you look at it's like, man, what if they had 5 power? Or even like, let's say they have 5 power, but now they have 10 power. Like, how well can they spend that? And I think there will be a lot of candidates at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you probably don't use this if you're in a low threat game, but definitely if you're in a higher threat game, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right. Cool. Should we talk about our third character?
Yeah, let's go and talk about our third character.
All right, let's talk about Sif. Hey, so we're going to be talking about Lady Sif now.
Okay.
Pseudonym Sif. She is a 4 threat model, 6 health on her healthy side, I believe she has 600 injured side as
Yep,
well. She
6
does.
health on both sides. No changes, I think.
No
pretty much.
changes. And she's a little less defensive than some of the other Asgard models that come in the box. She's got 4 physical defense, 3 energy defense, and 3 mystic defense. We'll talk about a little bit later about how that physical defense could get even better. And she's only size 2, and she's got a medium move. But she is ready to fight
Yes.
and take some guys out with her swords.
Man, I cannot think of a more quintessential brawler than this character that Liz. And I'll jump ahead a little bit. Like
Sure.
the defense stats are actually a bit deceiving. So just kidding. She actually is really resilient because she has an ability called Battle Tested, which means that when you're affected by an enemy, take a damage from an enemy effect, you reduce it by 1 to a minimum of 1. So that 4-3-3, okay, you're a little lower than, let's say, the Thors are, but you're going to get that guaranteed like 1 damage reduction, I think, which is really, really nice.
So that actually makes her way more resilient than
I
she
think
appears.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Jin, what's her first attack there?
Yeah, so she's a range 2 attacker. So she's got a attack called Warrior Born. So it's a builder. So it's a range 2, 5 dice physical attack. You'll get energy equal to the damage dealt. And then she's got 2 really good triggers. So number 1, on a wild, she has a push trigger. As long as you're size 3 or less, she can push you in any direction. Short.
Oh, wow.
So omnidirectional push on just the wild, first of all, great. Then if you get a crit and a wild, after attack resolve, this character may advance short towards the target character. So you're getting some efficient action out of this because you can attack somebody and possibly push them and move all in one go, which is really, really nice. The next character ability that we want to talk about, the next attack that is called Warrior Forged. This is a 3 range, 7 dice attack for 3 power, our magic number. That's
Nice.
our good baseline, right? Range 3, 7 dice 3, good start.
For sure.
Yep. It's got a great trigger because you need a crit and a hit for this called Mighty Bash. After this attack is resolved, if the target character is size 3 or less, this character throws the target medium, any direction, then this character advances S.
Whoa.
So ton of action pressure.
ton of
around
action
direction.
compassion in there.
Yeah, so you get to move someone, well, throw someone like medium, which is huge, first of all, So imagine like throwing like a MODOK or some like big base like model, like medium away. That could be the difference of them getting like, a pseudo stagger.
Right.
Or you just like throw a size 3 person someone into somebody for like 4 collision damage, basically, right? And then you still get to move S in any direction.
That's pretty sweet. So what we're seeing is she hits hard and she still gets to where she wants to go.
Yeah, so initially, like the 5 dice pool doesn't seem like very much, but you'll see that there will be more layers to that, let's say, as it goes on.
All right.
Do you want to talk about the first superpower she has?
Yeah, so she has a charge, and this charge is actually just straight up called charge.
Yep.
It costs 2 power, which is huge, again, for Asgard, because they're going to start with 2 power. She is an Asgardian, right? Yep. So she can do this turn 1. She's a small base medium move, so you got to line things up in turn 0 to effectively get this attack off. But it's sweet. She's going to be moving all the time. You're always going to have the power to reposition her. This is what more could you ask for?
Yeah, no, it's very versatile. So we're already seeing that just from the 2 attacks already, and just the charge superpower. Like she's getting in, she's moving people around. And she's also moving herself around like more than once, right? Potentially, which is great.
Do you want to talk about the next superpower that makes her so...
Yeah, so what if we just made her more consistent at the same time?
Wow.
So we have our first reprinting of Master Swordsman. Master Swordsman is famously on the first version of Baron Zemo, who is an absolute terror as a 3-threat.
Standout of the original core box.
That guy was gonna like be here until the end of Marvel, I feel, if nothing changes. So, but it's great that we finally see this reprinted. I think it's appropriately on a 4-threat that swordswoman, in that case. So this is Master Swordswoman, I should clarify. It's not swordsman, it's swordswoman.
True.
To differentiate, but it's the same effect. So what happens is that if you are targeted by a physical attack, or she's doing a physical attack within range 2, you can use the superpower, and then when during the modified dice step, you can reroll a number of your defense dice or your offense dice, basically, so that she is a much more consistent defender against physical attacks, but also, more importantly, she's a very consistent hitter offensive attacks.
Yeah. So what this means is basically her favorite amount of power is 4, right? It took me a long time to say that for some reason, but she loves to have 4 power because then she has 2 for the charge and 2 for the Master Swordsman, right? And well, I guess I don't want to jump ahead, but what are some good affiliations that can get her those 4 power?
Oh, man. Okay. So you think about any power leaderships, right? So you're already seeing that it's like we already have a magic number that went hit with this character. So obviously great in Asgard, just because it's its affiliation, tactical support. But you should think about also Lady Sif in teams that would also be able to generate power for her, right? So I'm thinking Inhumans, I'm thinking Hellfire Club, I'm thinking Professor X.
Yeah.
Any of those, it's like any way you can pass a power to her. If you can get her to her 4 power, she is sitting great. Because then once she gets going, she basically can fuel her kit for probably the rest of the game.
Yeah, and then she can start doing charging and spendering people.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think a lot of people call her Dervish, and I think that is a very accurate description.
I think so.
Yeah, this is if you're playing D&D, this is your quintessential fighter.
Yeah.
That's going in and just pushing people around, taking hits.
I would say barbarian, actually.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, she looks more like a fighter, but she plays like a barbarian because she is reducing damage.
Yeah.
So she's going on rage.
Yeah. No, this is if you want to fulfill your swordsman like Conan fantasies, this character definitely exemplifies that for sure.
Yeah, that'd be really cool to see someone do a conversion of her model or paint her model in a Conan style.
Yeah, I think I want to get her painted as the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy.
That's dope. Yeah. All right, so, that's something we forgot to mention. The sculpts in this box are dope. They're all so good. They're so dynamic. Whoever is doing the sculpts at AMG is just on their A game for this box.
Yeah.
Every single model.
Yeah, Sif's particular model has this incredible flow to it as far as the wind is going, where she's battle ready and whatnot. It's very different than the other ones we've seen so far, especially for swordsmen characters.
For sure. Yep. All right, so I think that's Sif. We've covered super solid model, deadly in a fight, loves to go against physical based teams.
Yeah, and I'll say for personally, she is an absolute terror in Hellfire Club, by the way. I had a story. I think I was mentioning this earlier, but I was playing Deadpool against her, and I had put her down to 0 power.
Yeah.
And then
with Merc of the Mouth.
With Merc of the Mouth, So it was like, okay, that's great. She won't be able to Master Source me next turn. Little did I know, Hellfire Club leadership activated, so she got another power. The round ends. She generates 2 power because she's an Asgardian. They activate the Hellfire leadership again to give her that 4th power, and suddenly my Deadpool is now in front of a Master Swordsman charging Lady Sif, and I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you somehow robbed her of everything and yet nothing at the same time.
Yeah. Oh, and she also healed back 2 damage, in the course of that.
Oh, that's right. And she's super resilient.
Yeah, and an armored model, it's like that's kind of backbreaking. So yeah, definitely check her out. I think she's definitely a worthy splash if you're looking for a character that can frontline really well, especially if you can pass her power in some way to make her kit activate much earlier in that case. But yeah, also great in Asgardian because, they definitely look like a resilient frontline model all the time.
Yep. All right, so we'll talk about our last character here, Thor, hero of, I'm going to turn around here, Midgard. I'm wearing a shirt from Midgard Gaming. Great store, check them out.
Yep. Our favorite New Hampshire store.
Our favorite New Hampshire store. We go there for tournaments. We are willing to travel to the ends of the earth to go there. That is a great store.
Yep.
All right, so let's go and talk about Thor, hero of Midgard. Actually, why don't you take this away?
Sure. All right, folks, it's time. We're going to talk about Thor, hero of Midgard. The most of this box. I will simply say the most.
The most, for sure.
The most.
He's carrying it.
He's carrying it. So Thor, hero of Midgard is Thor Odinson, alias. He's 4 physical defense, 4 energy defense, 4 mystic defense, 9 health on the front side, 8 health on the back side, I believe.
Yep.
He is a 6 threat Thor. He's size 3, so he's definitely bulked up since his first incarnation.
Been working out.
Yep. He's on I think he's on a medium base, right?
Yep.
With a medium move. He's got flight, Yep. And we'll just say that he's immune to shock. So again, learning from the first mistakes of the original Thor, we've made sure that the God of Thunder is immune to shock. Okay. He is Asgardian, so he does generate 2 power a turn. All right. So with that out of the way, we got to talk about this guy's kit because it's an incredible kit, Eric.
Yeah.
Would you like to start with his builder?
Sure. So I've been on the side of this builder so many times recently.
The receiving end or the giving end?
The receiving end mostly.
That's rough.
Yeah. And I usually don't live through it. It is Odin's son's ire. So true to name, he is using this to just take people out as angrily as he can. Range 3, 7 dice, energy, builder, already great, right? On a 6 threat model, that's pretty awesome. 7 dice is nothing to scoff at. Now, for every wild you get, he's able to arc lightning bolts at people within 3 of that target.
And they just take a damage,
And they take a damage. Oof. Which doesn't seem like much, but if you're doing that twice in a turn, that means you're dealing, like, you're just spreading the damage to everybody, and you could take out models who are alive on 1, as we famously say. And then not only that, it doesn't end there. He's got a wild hit trigger called Push, which pushes the enemy character no size restriction. So this can work on Dormammu, Sentinel Prime, and it pushes them small.
Oof. Any direction, right?
Any omnidirectional. Ooh. This is a great start to the model.
Yeah, and it's just a wild hit. So I think at 7 dice, that's pretty reasonable to hit, I think.
Yeah, large pool, you're definitely going to get hit the wild for sure. Jin, do you want to talk about the spender?
Yeah, okay. So I would have words with thee. So already just flavor wins on all these, every ability.
Yeah, that's going to be the theme of today.
Yep. So I would have words with thee, exclamation point. 3, so it's a range 3, 10 dice physical attack for 4 power. There's a couple wild effects here. By wild, I mean there doesn't need any triggers. So before damage is dealt, place this character within 1 of the target character. So you're targeting someone at range 3, you just get the place automatically before damage is dealt. Great. And then after the attack resolved, the target character is size 4 or less. This character may throw the target character away medium. So you can throw a Hulk with this.
Yeah, this guy is designed to fight the Hulk, I feel. He's designed to kill smaller threat models, but he's designed to fight the Hulk, I feel.
Yeah, and even then, like just like throwing a size 4 person into one of their teammates, like that could be devastating, right?
Yeah, create a bowling ball effect.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get your some movement afterwards. So, you know, if he needs to get like onto like that back secure or something, this could be a way for him to do it, for instance. Yeah, and 10 dice pool, like not much is living like from that, you know, at a certain point.
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. He could just outright kill model. But this is really good for secure play, right? You can push an opponent, one of their big size 4 models off the point. You can place beforehand, so you can get on that point. And yeah, if you get lucky, you can bowling ball effect into their team or just push them off and control the game and get that point.
Yep. So it looks like all the displacement from these attacks are happening after the attack is resolved, basically. So the initial thing is that you may just daze or KO them, but your consolidation prize is if you don't, you probably move them off the point.
Right. And as long as you don't KO them, you get to be placed. Actually, even if you KO them, you get to be placed within 1 of them because this is before damage.
Yep. So just like Rhino, right? That's why one of the reasons why he's so great, that he can just be placed within 1, like, you know, before anything has to happen, right?
Yep.
So yeah, always gets that free movement.
All right. And so continuing with the flavor, we have at thee. This character throws itself medium. He's going to pounce into the enemy here. Remember, he's size 3. This is a big damage effect. That's 4 damage coming in. And remember, he's on a medium base, which means he, like Chosen of Bast, can get really far with that pounce. And I think his pounce is medium, so that's even further. Yep. Now, if he doesn't take any damage from this, of course, right? Because he's just been working out his muscles. They're as strong as rocks at this point.
Thankfully, only once per turn as well.
Thankfully, but it's only 3 power. Yeah. So he's not going to be able to do it turn 1. Without some power shenanigans, because he starts with 2. But he's gonna probably follow this up after his builder, or something.
Well, I would maybe disagree with that slightly because what you can happen is like if anyone comes up to the midline against Thor, he moves once.
Right.
He already generates 2 power, so he just needs 1 power. He'll throw that range 3, 7 dice attack into them. And if you get just 1 power, it's go time.
That's true. And if you double him up, if you team him with Loki,
Yeah.
you're going to probably start that 2 place up already. So you're right. You can do it first turn.
Yeah, that's the thing about the Asgardian like the range 3 like attacks is that they do let you interact with midline models like much quicker, I think. So if you don't want to double move to a point, you could potentially try to just move once, hit them, and then like, do something afterwards.
Right.
And Thor's kit is very good at like, it's like, I'm going to punish you from coming up to the midline.
Right. So if you're on the opposing side, you really want to be thinking about what model you're putting on the midline if you have to.
Yes.
Especially if he hasn't gone yet.
Yeah.
And Asgard players, you're going to go last with Thor.
Yep.
Most likely in the first turn at least.
Yep.
All right, so Jin, let's talk about his next power here.
The power of Thor. Active superpower, cost 3. Choose an interact terrain feature within size 4 or less, and throw it long. Can only be used once per turn.
Dang.
So this joins the rare tier of terrain throwers that are throwing long. So I think it's just like the original MODOK, I think Ebony Maw.
Yep.
Max. Yep, Magneto, and I think that's it. I mean,
that's it.
Yeah. So comment down below if I miss anybody, but I think that's it. So now he joins as the 4th character that's able to throw a terrain feature long.
Man, this is a premium throw.
Yep.
Right. We already talked about range 3 medium base being able to affect the midline.
Yep.
Long throws can throw big buildings at people.
Yeah.
So I mean, realistically, with the powers we've just talked about so far, and his builder, he can daze several models in an activation.
Yep. So we're now talking about just within his active turn, if he has enough like juice, he can pounce into somebody, throw a terrain into somebody, and still have 2 really chunky attacks, either in the form of the builders or the spenders, to really hammer home, like that damage, right?
Yep. Terrifying model.
Yeah.
All right, and then lastly, we followed this up with, I say, the Nay villain.
Oh man, take this one away, because it's not just his active turns. Now let's talk about his reactive.
Yeah, so this is a fun mechanic to have. For 3 power, this is after an attack targeting him has already resolved. He uses the superpower. If the attacker is within 3 of him, which is pretty often, he rolls not 5, 7 dice here, and for every wild or crit he gets in that roll, he deals 1 damage to that opponent.
Yikes.
You can only use it once per turn.
Okay, so your ceiling of this is 7 damage.
Yeah.
Of this, that's gonna be pretty rare. I think most time this is probably gonna do probably 2 to 3 damage.
Yeah, which is pretty significant on like a 3-threat model.
Yeah.
It's 5 HP.
Yeah,
Attacking him.
There's a lot like smaller guys that will attack him, and that could be the end of them because maybe they've taken an attack from Thor already. And now, if you happen to be close by him when you attack him, that could be the end of your activation too.
Yeah.
So, insane.
Insane damage potential.
Yeah. So I think that the challenge as the Thor player is that you have to really budget like what you want to spend your power for.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you're against Thor, which a lot of you are going to be in the near future if you haven't already, you really want to think about how much power you're lending to Thor if you attack him. If he hasn't activated yet, you might not want to attack him. If you could throw him away and just move away, you might want to do that.
Yep. So yeah, displacing Thor I think is a big deal. If you can make sure he doesn't have that much power, that's also great as well. Because if he has 6 power, that magic number, like he is definitely going to be rocking everybody like until their lights are out.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about a card in the moment. Maybe not the next card, but a couple cards away from here. That's going to really make him over the top.
Yeah, I mean we can cover a couple cards that are new to the box, right? Sure. That goes to. So so the first card. So let me write that back a little bit. So the first card we're talking about does come new in the box. It is called Limited Time. For a limited time only, that is. It has to be it's an Asgard only. It's an active card. So during Thor Hero of Midgard activation, he may spend 3 power to play this card. For the rest of the round, while other allied characters are within 4 of Thor, Hero of Midgard, they have Thor's Blessing passive superpower. And the passive superpower goes like this. This character adds 1 die to its attack rolls. Additionally, if this character makes an attack, if it dealt damage, the target character will get the shock special condition. So initially you read this and I think it seems pretty good. But the thing is, you're going to be in Asgard specifically, right? To begin with, so you're going to have a 5/5 leader because every leader is going to cost 5. Thor himself is going to cost 6. So you have an 11-point base already. So if you're playing like, a low threat game of, let's say 15, you're probably only going to have 3 characters. If you play a little bit higher, maybe you get 4 characters,
Right.
So that means that, like, since Thor doesn't benefit from this himself, he's not only going to give the buff to maybe 2 or 3 other models, at most.
True. So the value, he's not going to get a lot of value out of it.
Yeah, and it's also predicated that you need to actually do damage to get the shock condition. So there'll be sometimes, unfortunately, dice be dice, and they just don't do anything. Thor's power, I think, is also very, very precious as well. So that 3 power could have been a throw, it could have been a pounce. I would have words with the
Right. Yeah. So I mean, this is still a great card. I think it's a fun. If you're playing a casual game at your local friendly gaming store, this card's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Just don't expect it to do a lot and have a lot of impact. But it's always fun to roll more dice.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a big win. I mean, it's evocative of that scene, right? In what was that, Thunder and Love?
Yeah, it was powering up all the kids.
Yeah. It was goofy, but also I don't know, it was pretty endearing, I think.
Yeah, infamous, but heartwarming.
Heartwarming, I would say, yeah. Feels good. Helping your friends. But I think we do want to talk about, to put in the context, an older card that was released with Beta Ray Bill, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Yep.
So, we want to just talk about, this is an oldie card, but we want to talk about Brothers in Arms, okay? So Brother in Arms requires you to have Bill and a Thor Odinson. So it could be either copy of Thor. It's unaffiliated, so any team that has both of them in it can play this. So Thor Odinson and Beta Ray Bill each spend 1 power each. 1 power for this, okay? And while within 2 of each other, they gain the following superpower, which is a passive called the Worthy. So there's a few effects that happens, okay? So if you are benefiting from the Worthy's passive superpower, this character may not be advanced, thrown, or placed by enemy effects, period. Additionally, this character will add 3 dice to all energy attacks it makes.
Yeah. Talk about a card that has really come to the forefront of, I think, the competitive scene, right?
Yeah. So it's very cheap to play. You're also taking 2 very good characters to begin with. So
who are both affiliated.
We're both affiliated in Asgard, but I mean, we also see this in Guardians of the Galaxy as well, because Bill's affiliated there. So there's a few places that you can potentially run this. Or if you happen to have a low threat core, you can take 10 points of these Asgardian models and still be able to play this.
Right.
But the fact is okay, we just talked about how it's really important for you to displace the new Thor so that, he doesn't get those great pounces or throws into you. So you have to, play around stuff a little bit more. But now you're immune to 3 out of the 4 possible ways to displace you. So the only thing that can push you away is a push,
Yeah. And the next part is scary.
Yeah.
3 dice on your energy attacks you make with either Thor or Beta Ray, actually both of them.
Yeah, I mean,
on both of their attacks.
Yeah, Bill has a cheap spender that's an energy that does become pretty scary, but I think we really want to focus on why it's insane that Thor, Hero of Midgard, gets the benefit from this.
Yeah, I'll start it off. He rolls 10 die builder attacks now. Okay, 10 dice. All right, that is we usually have to spend 4 power to get 10 dice.
That's a spender.
That's a spender.
Yeah, that's his dice is literally 10 spenders, 10 dice.
And then now he gets it on a builder. It's scary on a range 3 builder.
So not only did, this is a thing that generates you power, because you can easily refund that 1 power in Cactus card slot.
Oh, for sure.
Just by, making the power back. And also you're arcing more lightning bolts. You're more consistently getting that push. And you're fueling the rest of your kit. So like for that 1 power investment, maybe you get back like 3 or 4 extra more power, right, than you initially would have.
Yeah, this is a card you want to play at the top of turn 2. I think optimally, I mean, obviously context is important, but if you can get Beta Ray Bill and Thor within 2 of each other on the first turn, that second turn, you're probably going to have priority because you have less models. And you're just going to go ham, as they say.
Yes.
And it just starts a momentum that really makes Thor, Hero of Midgard, a tyrant on the gaming field.
He definitely becomes a big bully, especially being assisted by this card. Yeah. And Beta Ray Bill is no slouch either. Like he's an amazing displacement piece. If he just walks through you, sometimes it's enough to win games as well.
Do you think you'll see this card often in the competitive scene?
I think yes. I think if you're planning to take these 2 characters, like in any list, like that card becomes instantly like one of your 5, or at least in great consideration as one of your 5.
Yep. So yeah, this box has a lot of bang for your buck. I mean, talk about a box that you can just buy and play off the table, right?
Yeah.
You can go 15 points, you can go 19 points.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different point values you can go to, and we talked about how strong these characters are together. I think this is an amazing product to put out there.
Yeah, no, it's definitely transformative. The entire Asgardian affiliation has changed the way they play, gives them a brand new focus as well. Like I think, like I said, they're going to be one of the fightiest teams that you can definitely field. It's going to feel very flavorful too because you're going to take a lot of in-house models to do so at the same time.
Yeah.
And also a fun splash maybe occasionally for Trickster's Boon, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I've got to shout out a player in our local scene by the name of Caleb. I know both of us have played him.
Oh, yeah.
He was the first player who picked up the ASGARD box at my store, and I got to learn firsthand how powerful they are.
Yeah.
So shout out to Caleb.
Yeah, that boy loves Stompy Lesper for sure. And like I was happy to say it's like at last, here's the list that you can play.
Yeah, so if you're that type of player who wants to fight, you want to roll dice, you want to really experience that super power, terrain throws, character throws, big builders, this is the box for you. I sound like a spokesman here for Asgard, and I don't even play the affiliation.
No, I mean like it's all gas, folks. Like there's no breaks here. You're just going as soon as like the first turn happens. Like it's on. You're
going up and away.
You're gonna ask the opponent like a lot of questions, and you gotta hope that they can answer back if you're the other side. If you're on the Asgardian side, it's like great. Just keep on the pressure, and hopefully you can win.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you want to like a control-y team too, they have the options in there to really play around secures.
Yeah, I think like Loki himself is actually a really interesting control piece because of the amount of like movement shenanigans that he has, and the Giant's Blood card is also great. Right. He's in Criminal Syndicate as well, so most of the characters in this box are just Asgardian affiliated, but Loki actually is Criminal Syndicate affiliated, and I think he's going to add a ton of options to that team. Every leader loves the fact that Go Forth allows them to do that range 2 play. So your MODOK, Shadowlands Daredevil, was it Kingpin and Claw? Like they all can use that additional place because they don't have a lot of mobility typically on their own. And you can set up for some very big attacks between beams, or you can also set up like Daredevil to get his ninjas out and things like that. So a ton of stuff that they can do. And he benefits from all the cards too. So you can do like cruelty as well, so get that extra mystic attack in, right? And that's also going to probably benefit from his this isn't mischief, this is mayhem.
Yeah. So you get to twist, you throw the knife and you twist it at the same time, right?
Twisting another like mystic knife. It's insane. Like
and I think we got to talk about his best bud on Criminal Syndicate, Mysterio. I know a lot of players are brewing with this, so if you're one of those players, post in the comments. Let us know what kind of cool, mysterious Mysterio Loki duo you got going on there, because I know Mysterio would benefit from Trickster's Boon, and I know Mysterio's got a really cool card that turns everything into skulls. Yeah, so Grand Illusion, like, making skulls happen more often, right? Suddenly, like, that's going to be a big deal to make Loki really shine at the end of the day. So try it out. Let us know. Definitely try it out. Like, he's great in Criminal Syndicate. Do not sleep on him. He is a great contributor to that team now, and they're happy to have him. But as far as Asgard goes, it's a new box. Like, all the cards, shoring up, especially post-tactics cards rotation, so they don't feel like they lost a lot. They gained a lot in this box. 2 new leaders. I
I think Mighty Jane has a great place because she allows you to go spread wider on a map, and everyone is still able to get more consistent dice performance, for no cost.
Right.
And I think that's probably the times you want to use them. For the tight maps where there's opportunities to get the "Oh my, what a pity" triggers, I think that's when you want to run Loki.
Okay.
Those are my opinions personally, but
No, I think those are pretty good insights.
Yeah.
This definitely helps me if I end up picking up the box.
yeah. And in the rare instance that you still want to take like the original Thor, I mean the original Thor still has like some good upsides. He's the only guy that's immune to stun, so on a Mayor Fisk, like secure, like I think he's still worthwhile considering if that's one of your main game plans. And he still gives you a condition game.
Yep.
And maybe there's a big bad mutant that is going to focus on conditions coming out soon.
Yeah.
So don't sleep on the old models as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So I think you want to take another look at all the Asgardians, including Enchantress. I think she also is pretty underplayed at this point. She is still an in-faction stealer, and she's able to move you around with the superpower. Like don't sleep on that, especially since she's got a beam attack. I'm happy to think about a scenario where Loki's moving people around in this nice beam 3. And she's got sap power, so she can get a ton of work like out of that. So like, look at all the models again. Look, just see if they sort of like, have a new plan that you maybe didn't see before.
All right. Thanks again for listening. I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, I think so. We're excited to see like more models on the table, and I'm happy. I'm kind of curious to see like where Asgard ends up being collectively as far as how players feel about them. In a few months, especially with the new factions being released as well.
All right, so thanks again for listening, and let us know how things go with ASGARD.
Yeah, and keep in mind we're dropping a new video every Wednesday at 9 a.m. in the morning, so please tune in each week, and we're happy to bring you some more Marvel content and also some friendly local game store content. So have a great night, and we'll take care.